Hey there YouTube, Anton here. So with the iPhone 5S now available in stores, you guys are probably wondering about unlocking and whether or not you can unlock your phone. If you don't know what an unlock is, we'll go ahead and address that in the first question coming up here. But otherwise, you can use these links here to skip ahead of this video and get information about unlocking specific to your carrier. This video is intended to be a comprehensive guide to unlocking for all the US carriers right now. So let's start then. Question 1. What is unlock and why should you unlock your phone? Well, iPhones that you buy in the US and elsewhere are normally tied to their respective carriers. If you sign a contract with AT&T, for example, and try to put a different SIM card into that phone, it'll throw an invalid SIM error message and you won't have any service. That's how a locked phone works. If you had an unlocked phone, you can put in whatever SIM you wanted into that phone and you'll get service no matter what. Now, Apple does sell factory unlocked phones, meaning they're not tied to any carrier and you can use any SIM card that you want on those phones. There are two main reasons why people want to unlock their phones. The first reason is while they're traveling internationally. If they're traveling internationally, international roaming rates are usually pretty expensive, so you can save some cost by buying a local SIM card and using service on that SIM card, swapping out your SIM card and using that service. Otherwise, it might cost a lot of money. And the second reason that people unlock their phones is when they're switching carriers at the end of their contract. You can switch to any carrier that uses a SIM card, and in the US that means the GSM carriers, T-Mobile and AT&T, those are the major ones. And the second question is, will unlocking void my warranty? And the reason people ask this is because they're confusing jailbreaking with unlocking. Unlocking won't void your warranty in any way. You aren't hacking your phone in any way like jailbreaking, so it won't do anything to your warranty, it'll stay intact. And while we're on that note, we can move to the next question, which is, what is the difference between jailbreaking and unlocking, since a lot of people don't really know? Jailbreaking is kind of like granting permission on your phone to be able to do almost anything that you want to it. And if you haven't seen the jailbreaking video, you can check it out right here. It grants you administrative control over your iPhone, and some people are intimidated by that because there is a possibility that you might mess up your phone. Now, I just want to tell you that it's very, very difficult to brick an iPhone. I've had a lot of iPhones before and I've never had a completely bricked one. You can almost always just perform a restore and that'll solve a majority of your problems. Anyways, unlocking on the other hand, as we mentioned earlier, is granting permission on your phone to use whatever carrier you want, whatever SIM card that you want in the phone. You can be unlocked without being jailbroken, and you can be jailbroken without being unlocked. The two are mutually exclusive. Now, I think the reason that people have them confused is there was a time when you had to be jailbroken in order to be unlocked. So that brings me to the next question then. Let's talk about ultrasnow. Can I use ultrasnow to unlock my iPhone? Now, ultrasnow is a pretty old method to unlock iPhones, and in fact, if you remember the name ultrasnow, then you are probably a long-term iPhone veteran. In this modern era of iPhone usage, I really don't recommend using ultrasnow anymore for three main reasons. The first one is you can't update your phone. You have to stay on that firmware. You're completely dependent on having a jailbreak in order to apply ultrasnow. And the second reason tied to that is when you jailbreak your phone, then you do lose your warranty on it. And third, it'll only work on a handful of older iPhones, 3Gs, 3GSs, and one version of the iPhone 4. And they have to be on specific basebands for it to work. I'll list the requirements below, but it is a nice thing because you can do an unlock on any carrier in the world as long as you meet those requirements. Sometimes you might not be able to find an IMEI unlock for your specific carrier, and that might be your only alternative to unlocking. But really, if you have an IMEI unlock available, then I recommend that you just go ahead and use that method because it's cheap, it's effective, and it'll last throughout the life of the phone, whether you update or not. So let's talk about the carriers. The first one we'll talk about is Verizon. Can you unlock a Verizon iPhone? And Verizon iPhones unlock differently depending on the model iPhone that you have. So if you have an iPhone 5 or 5S, you don't have to do anything. They're factory unlocked from the start. All you have to do is put in a different SIM into your phone and it'll work no matter if it's a domestic or international carrier. Do yourself a favor though, and please never buy an IMEI unlock for a Verizon iPhone if you have the 5 or 5S, because you're wasting your money basically. If you have an iPhone 4S, then things get a little complicated. Verizon's 4S will only work outside of the country and it won't work on domestic carriers. And to get it to do this, you do have to call into Verizon and they'll unlock your phone for you. It's an international unlock and it's not a true unlock. If you meet these requirements right here, they'll unlock your phone for international usage. Now, if you have an iPhone 4, there is no unlock for it and there won't ever be. And the reason for that is Verizon's iPhone 4 is completely CDMA. It doesn't have a SIM card slot in it, so you won't be able to use any GSM carriers. There are ways to flash this iPhone onto other CDMA carriers in the United States, but the legality is questionable, so I won't go through it here. Up next is AT&T. How do you unlock an AT&T iPhone? Now, all AT&T iPhones, regardless of the model, whether you have a 5S or whether you have a 3GS, they all unlock the same way. To unlock, you either need to buy an IMEI unlock or you can call into AT&T as long as you meet certain requirements, and I'll list them right here. Since the iPhone 5S is brand new, it was just released a few days ago, they'll probably not allow you to unlock it because certain stipulations in the requirements say that you have to own the phone for a certain period of time. So your best bet to unlock this phone is to buy an IMEI unlock for it, and we'll go over IMEI unlocks at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next carrier, which is T-Mobile. How do you unlock a T-Mobile iPhone? And the process is very similar to the way you unlock an AT&T iPhone. You either have to buy an IMEI unlock or you call into the carrier and request an unlock. You do have to meet the criteria for unlock, and I'll post some of the criteria here. I'll also put in a link at the bottom of the description that will have the full requirements that they will want before they'll unlock for you. And again, the iPhone 5S is brand new, so they may not allow you to unlock your phone. So the best bet for that is to buy an IMEI unlock. And again, we'll go through that at the end of this video. Now let's talk about the last major US carrier, and that's Sprint. Sprint is a CDMA carrier just like Verizon. So their newer iPhones are part GSM and part CDMA. Unlike Verizon iPhones, however, they are completely locked to that carrier. If you call in to request an unlock from them, they will do it as long as you meet certain requirements, just like the other carriers. However, this is an international unlock and it's just a partial unlock. If you want to put in a SIM card from a domestic carrier like AT&T or T-Mobile, it won't work. It will only work for international carriers. This is one of the most annoying US carriers to deal with because of that fact. And after contracts are over, Sprint phones have little resale value because of that. Anyways, let's move on. Question number 9. So what is an IMEI unlock and where can I buy an IMEI unlock? Now, all iPhones have a unique IMEI number, an IMEI number that's tied to each phone. Each of these IMEI numbers are tied to a specific carrier, and Apple has a complete database on all these carriers. IMEI unlocks, they go into that database and they change the value so that it is no longer tied to a carrier. That's why it doesn't matter, even if you do an update, you'll still always be unlocked. Now, you can find plenty of sites online if you just Google the terms IMEI unlock or factory unlock for iPhone. They're also found on eBay for fairly cheap. Don't ever spend any more than $10 for an IMEI unlock, and also there was a time on eBay when they were 99 cents. It doesn't matter what iPhone model you have, whether it's a 5S or 3GS, the cost should be the same. So don't ever think that unlocking an iPhone 5S, for example, should cost you any more than unlocking an iPhone 3GS. I can't point you to any specific site or seller that sells IMEI unlocks. However, I will tell you that only AT&T and T-Mobile unlocks are worth your time, because the Verizon and Sprint IMEI unlocks are only international unlocks and you won't be able to use it within the US. Even if you buy the unlocks for them, you're stuck on that network unless you're out of the country. And finally, let's conclude with the most important point, which is legality. Is it legal to unlock your iPhone? Now, as you may have heard earlier this year, there was a law by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act to ban unlocking iPhones that were manufactured after January 26, 2013. And it specifically targets unlocking of iPhones that were not okayed by the carrier, without the carrier's consent basically. Now it doesn't mean that you still can't call in to request an unlock from your carrier. It's basically directed more so at sellers who are selling unlocking as a service. This is illegal if it's done inside the United States, and this has some implications for you as the user, because technically you aren't allowed to have an unlocked iPhone anymore without your carrier's consent. Now the good news is the White House just filed a petition to the FTC to request making unlocking phones legal again. And there's a similar bill that's going through Congress right now that will essentially do the same thing. The bad news is these rules will take time to pass and adopt. So as it stands right now, unlocking phones that are manufactured after that date is illegal. There's no real enforcement to that rule right now, and I can't control what you do with your iPhone, but I just want to give you the heads up on that. The good thing is pretty much only the iPhone 5S and some newer versions of the iPhone 5 are affected by this, and if you really need one of those phones, then I would just suggest that you buy a factory unlocked phone. Yes, you do have to pay the full retail price for them, but it's not really that much more expensive. Alright, so that's a quick guide to unlocking your iPhone. And I didn't go over JeviSims because I don't feel like it's a very good way to unlock your phone, considering all the different options that we have nowadays. But if you have any questions on that, then go ahead and ask me in the comments below, or if anything wasn't clear to you in this unlocking guide. If this helps you out, feel free to throw me a thumbs up. And as always, if you like this video, please remember to subscribe to my channel. This is Anton, thanks for watching guys, see ya!